And good morning world, it's 9 o'clock in the morning on the 22nd of May 2014. I'm looking at Mars. Mars has moved forwards 2 minutes of 1 degree, 1/30th of 1 degree in the last 72 hours, the equivalent of a grain of sand. And Mars is in conjunct Neptune at this time, has been for a week, will be for another few days. And it is creating seemingly a sense of dull anger out there. And just as Mars moves forward, just as it finally begins to clear this sort of foggy chewing gum nebulousness capacity for inaction despite the urgency and frustration, just as Mars begins to move forward and begins very slightly to pick up speed, so we move into Mercury retrograde shadow. And actually today being Thursday, Mercury's not in shadow for another 24 hours. Mars is moving forward. Today is actually a really good day. But with all this sort of moving and shaking and getting readiness for the final opposition of Mars, and then Jupiter moving into Leo the same week as Mars moving into Scorpio, and that next new big positive new moon at the end of July. Until then, we're in build-up, and it's ongoing day by day. Don't let the anger get the top of you. So I thought, it's a quiet day. So let's have a look at something that's been bugging me and bugging a few people out there. I'm looking at house systems. This is where the non-astrologers amongst you can switch off. House systems. They're either based on time or they're based on space. Whatever house system you choose to use, the ascendant or rising sign is always the same. And in all the house systems by equal house, the midheaven is always the start of the 10th house. Rather than split them into time and space, let me just summarize it in 2 minutes. There's the more modernistic forms of house systems. There's Chronistic, which is very popular in Europe at the moment. This is a variant on it's a kind of Placidian thing, but it's based on various types of news. It's complicated and it's geometrical. There's topocentric, again a version of Placidus. There's Koch, which is popular in Germany and in America. Again, it's a variant of the Placidus system, but using equal increments rather than based on the division of the sun's pattern in the sky each day. More of the older aspects, there's Campanus, which is just dividing the prime vertical into 12. That's been around a couple of thousand years. The most common house system is Placidus. Again, it's about superimposing splits of a circle onto the ecliptic. Oh, really? Same as the meridian system. It divides the celestial equator into 12 30-degree sectors and then projects them onto the ecliptic. Regiomantis, one of the very oldest of all. It divides the celestial equator into 12, and this is projected onto the ecliptic using circles that take in the north and south points of the sun's orbit. It's all really complicated. Why? And then, now here I'm really biased, then there's the house system which I use, which is called Porphyry and is attributed to the 4th century monk astrologer Porphyry of Rome, although the origin of this comes from a 2nd century astrologer called Vettius Valens. And this is script. He's the last big Greek astrologer. He was a working astrologer around about 150 to 175 AD. But he, unlike me, was a complete fatalist. He was a real predeterminist, whereas I'm totally free will orientated. Nevertheless, he'd come up with a simplistic way of working it on the grounds that he couldn't be bothered to carry around tables and books and make calculations and work out geometry all the time. When you're a working astrologer on the hoof, you need to be able to do it bang, there. So he made the reasoning, well, you've got the ascendant, so you've got the descendant. Great, you can split the sky in half. But you've also got the midheaven and the nadir. So you've got the 4 quadrants. They're fixed. So simply trisect the quadrants. Split each quadrant into 3. You can do that in your head. And that's Porphyry house system. And all of these house systems are about defining the cusps of a particular house. Remember, Planets in signs show how that planetary energy manifests in and through you. Planets in houses show how that planetary energy manifests through you into and onto the outside world. There's so many house systems, no one works. Work out the cusps in your own chart and ask yourself, which house are your planets in? And trust your gut feel more than any other astrologer. Then you'll find the right one. Catch you later. Bye.